everybody, welcome to Talk, Teach, Play. My name is Aaron Locks. I'm the CEO and founder of the National Academy of Athletics, and I'm excited you're joining us today to check this information out. We're going to be talking today on the impact of sports technology on youth and their future, and I'm really blessed to have Sean Leary, the CEO and founder of SportsThread, with me today. How's it going, Sean?
Oh, it's going great, Aaron. Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk to you.
Absolutely, man. Glad you're here. And, as I find out more about, for lack of better words, pulling the thread about SportsThread, it's really cool what you guys are doing. And I love the heart you have for kids and trying to help them. But you know what? Behind every good company or any good program, there's a story, right? So what I'd love to do is kind of hear a little bit about your background in sports maybe and kind of how this thing kind of came together before we get into the specifics of how technology is changing or helping kids out a little bit.
Sure. So my story is kind of an unusual one that led me to doing this, but I started out as a kind of highly recruited baseball player in high school. I got to go try out for the USA national baseball team as a junior and senior in high school. Didn't make the team, but still, just getting to be there as part of a group of about 150 players was quite an honor. And while I was there, I got recruited by just about every D1 you can think of and wound up choosing to go to Pepperdine University. Pepperdine, great baseball school, beautiful beach. What more could you want, right?
I love that. What an amazing field they have. When I used to run John Wooden's basketball camp for adults, we ran it at Pepperdine. Beautiful campus. Yeah, you couldn't go wrong there at all. Good stuff.
No, so got to go and be a part of the team at Pepperdine, but I was only there for a year. Turned out the school had committed a big NCAA violation that most people didn't hear about. They kept it rather quiet, but turned out there were kids across the entire campus on various teams. I think it was, I'm not 100% sure the exact number, probably about 50 athletes lost their scholarships because the school was using an institutional grant that the athletes didn't qualify for, and I was one of them. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I just thought I got a scholarship to go to school, and I was 18 years old and excited to go play baseball. And it turned out that the various programs at the college were cheating. So they had to correct that, and they did. And I had to choose between stay at this beautiful, expensive school and have huge student loans or move on. So I went and left and went to right down the road to play junior college baseball at Orange Coast College.
Right, yeah.
I actually got to play for John Altobelli, who is the legendary coach who just passed away last February in the helicopter accident with Kobe Bryant. And my experience with Alto was truly amazing. I got to play for one of the best coaches, in my opinion, to ever live. He was really incredible. But while I was there, I was competing for a spot with hundreds of other kids who got out of high school. They were going to junior college. They left a D1 school and they came back. And it was my experience of being at this JUCO where I learned that there were kids all over America who were having a difficult time getting recruited. And couldn't believe that all these athletes were having so much trouble. I wound up getting recruited and going to Oral Roberts University and winning a conference championship there. And but it was my experience at ORU, or excuse me, at OCC, where I found a market need in hearing the stories of all these other athletes. And then from there we went and, I wrote a business plan while I was at ORU, started the business with my dad helping me raise money and put together the first $1 million to start SportsThread during the summers. Instead of playing summer ball at ORU, I'd come back and fundraise. Okay. And it graduated with a job that I'd created for myself. So I went to work on building the first version of the platform and spent the first $1 million that we'd raised and had to raise more. And I called up my dad called up a good friend of his named Kevin, who is a big time IR investor relations guy out in Silicon Valley. And we were hoping he'd help us raise some money, and we asked him for help, and he looked at what we were doing. He said, "You don't need help raising money. What you need help doing is figuring out, where to take this company. And I'd like you to meet my friend, Dick O'Donnell." So I got to meet Dick, who turned out to be the VP of corporate marketing at 3 different multi-billion-dollar companies, Borland Software, Tibco, and BA Systems. And he's also consulted with hundreds more, including working for Steve Jobs at Apple and
Wow.
Philippe Kahn, and you name the tech entrepreneur, he was with them. And Dick came on and got involved with us and got me involved with his network of entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, and they were all so wonderful and generous with their time and advice. And I was able to tap into this group of people who showed us how to take what I had, which was a good idea and what it turned into a good company, but really apply a Silicon Valley business model to youth sports, the youth sports industry and sports.
And what's cool about that whole story and the journey, and mine's not much different, with the exception of that I didn't get to meet some of the at that top level and how you go about it. But basically, it's amazing how sports, and you've taken your passion through sports and be able to build a team and be able to progress forward. And obviously, there's a lot of life lessons that you learned through sports coming up, because you didn't just automatically make it. You went through the steps to do it. But all right, so let's go back before we go forward, just talking about technology, because I'll be honest, my son, he's 19 now, and he played baseball, basketball, football in high school, so multi-sport athlete. But it's interesting to me. We check in on them, my kids, other kids, and they're all playing. I don't know what they're called, the video game, but man, they're playing basketball on the internet through whatever the game is, or baseball, or whatever it is.
And they're playing esports.
Esport, there you go, whatever, right? You can tell how tuned in I am, right? Because I'm so old school. I just but so what do you think, as someone who's been, you're in the industry and you've also, the names and what's going on. So what do you think the impact's going to be on that? Because I've got some thoughts on it, but let's throw it your way first. What do you think is the impact of kids that are playing esports and getting after that? You think that's a good thing, a bad thing? What do you think the impact's going to be long term?
Well, I think there's a lot of really good positive things to it. I think people need to get a little more people who don't have their people who aren't as sold on technology, maybe just aren't realizing the direction the world's gone.
Right.
Very recently, obviously went through COVID. It's changed the way people commute to work. It's changed the way people sit in meetings. I mean, if it were a year ago, I might be sitting in the room with you. Right. Depending on a few factors, but this is so normal now. I do most of my meetings digitally, but beyond that, athletes across the country are not only playing sports, but they're adopting sports through video games. They're playing esports. Esports participation is even bigger, or it's close to the same market size as regular sports are now. It's an enormous group of people who participate in this. And I think the thing that people need to kind of get their mind around a little bit more is that today's generation of young people have adopted technology as the way that they communicate and the way that they interact in their social settings. Kids get on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook to talk to each other, and they also go out and they play basketball in the front yard, but it is social time when they're sitting there and they have a headset on and they're playing Xbox Live on 2K.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. They said that industry is up 700% in the last 6 months. Wouldn't we all like to have that kind of growth in our business, right? But to me, like I was thinking about it when I was younger, I would go down to the schoolyard and I would pretend I was Larry Bird, or I was Willie Mays, right? And you would visualize it and you would go do that. Nowadays, they don't have to visualize it here, right? It's happening on the screen in front of them. And they actually are, like my son was showing me Dr. J, and I got a George Gervin ball back here, these guys, it's like you can actually see what they were doing. And the companies technology-wise have been able to take those players from their movements and capabilities and put it together. So you're right. I think that in that case, it's pretty good. I also know that, it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert in anything, right?
Yeah.
So if you can use a video game and understand the crossover, as long as they're willing to take that skill back to the field, and actually at some point they got to physically do it, right? So,
well, there are an awful lot of industries that are using simulations and VR to train people. I'm not going to go into a big long list, but there's many different industries out there where they're going to train you with a video game, or they're going to train you with a VR simulation before they put you into a situation where you're expected to do it physically. There's no question there's a learning there's a learning opportunity in it for youth athletes, and getting out there and learning the fundamentals of the game. I'm always going to be an advocate that kids go and play, physical, real sports in addition to gaming. But, at the end of the day, it's, what's going to make you happy? What's your future lie in? No one can possibly say that there's not a future and the ability to make money playing video games and being an esports gamer. I mean, go look up how much money Ninja made last year.
Right.
It'll blow you away.
Right. Well, the only challenge again is that when I was speaking with the ladies on from Noble Ones, which is a social emotional group. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, probably a good time to do that, because you're going to see some of the other shows and information we're putting forth. But one of the concerns is that they're learning to communicate electronically rather than face to face, and that's such an important. But we'll save that for another chat. But I guess the question then is that because I have seen some of those devices, like I know there's things they've got these gloves or how to hold your arm right when you're shooting a basketball or different things. I know that there's one, I think, that you actually videotape the player and they can watch their swing in slow motion and they can really break it down. I mean, video doesn't lie, right? So that's a good way. Is there anything else you can think about off the top of your head? But ultimately, they still got to go out and do it, right? I mean, bottom line, if you're working on throwing a baseball, there's nothing better than throwing a baseball, right?
I agree with that 100%. You got to do it if you want to do it in real life. But I'm living proof that there's tremendous benefit to biomechanical analysis and the other things that some of these other measurement and analysis tools. We also work at SportsThread with many, many companies who produce tools to help athletes as training aids. For example, Diamond Kinetics. Diamond Kinetics is a company that we've worked with for a very long time. They have a sensor that they can put on a bat, and they have a smart baseball and softball that you can throw, and it will tell you your impact momentum and how hard you're hitting and what your launch angle and all these different very cool metrics are that will help impact your player performance. It'll tell you your velocity on your fastball and how many revolutions per minute you're getting. And those kind of metrics certainly do have their place.
Right.
The younger the athlete is, I think it's more crucial to just get really good fundamental training and get a base. But the older you get, the better you get. Those kinds of things can separate you. When I was going into my senior year, I had my pitching mechanics analyzed, and I jumped up to 94 with my fastball topping out, and I think 2 or 3 miles from my working speed. And I couldn't break through a certain plateau until I found where I was leaking power. That was my personal story. But if you look at things that are going on in our industry, you have Win Reality, for example, is a great platform with the Oculus VR headset where you can actually do pitch recognition training. Wow. They have it in basketball, the Home Court app, for example, great for teaching ball handling skills. We work with companies like Neurodynamic Vision, where they teach you, they help you improve your processing of images. There's so many different types of sports tech out there because the industry understands the science that goes into becoming a great athlete now. Right. So much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting to think about. There is so much opportunity out there for the individual athlete. I wonder if there becomes a divide between the haves and the have-nots, because if I'm from a poor family and I can't afford to purchase these things, I'm like, I grew up and we were the Sandlot kids. We just went and played ball and we played everything down the streets. That's all we did. We never would have thought of it. Now, granted, that was in the 60s and 70s, but now I guess, one of the big things is going to be how do we make it affordable? Because if the kid's a really good athlete, right? On one of the shows we talked before, we broke it down. They've got to have a passion. They've got to have athleticism. They've got to have the fundamentals, and then they got to have the IQ, right? Those are the 4 things to make an athlete. And we want to help parents have a chance to develop that. It sounds like there's a lot of different things through SportsThread that you can connect people to actually help them do that. But how do we keep that affordable for these kids? Because, it's a big challenge, obviously. And sports can be really expensive. I mean, it's a $5 billion industry now. You know what I mean? It's big business. So how do we help these kids that maybe can't afford to get that same access?
So, They're what I think I've seen a lot of, and SportsThread, we provide a free product so everybody can get on the app, they can use it, they can seek
Wait,
out.
say that again. You guys have a free product? I
Everything
love
is free
free is
for the
good.
athlete. It's
Tell us
free,
more. Yeah, there you go.
but
Free product
you
is
get
good.
to a free product by producing revenue somewhere, and we do it through working with fantastic companies who provide products and services for the youth sports market. For that industry you're talking about, I think it's actually closer to 19 billion actually when you factor in all the travel and lessons and all the other uniforms, food. It's really an incredible big industry. But we work with companies who provide products and services for the youth athletes, and we allow them to advertise those products and services through to our user base, which allows us to make money and extend a great free product to everybody who wants to get on and use it. And one of the big passions I have for that is, like you said, there are a lot of kids who don't have those means. So I think we can kind of level the playing field a little bit in terms of being a home for a kid who may be on free and reduced lunch in high school, and a kid who comes from significant means. On SportsThread, it's all about how hard are you willing to work to get yourself exposure, and what do your stats and your grades say about you. But along those lines, we're also conscientious of the fact that we have such a wide variety of user types or user demographics within our users. And some of the kids need products that are more on the affordable scale. Some of them can afford the more expensive stuff. And we seek out partnerships with brands that provide a consumer level priced product. For example, I mentioned Diamond Kinetics earlier. DK products retail right around $100, whereas there are products like FlightScope, which maybe take a little more in-depth analytics, that are $20,000, $30,000, and they sell those to Major League Baseball teams. But I think in a lot of examples, there are less expensive products that are targeted towards the mass market of youth sports consumers today that a lot of people can't afford.
And it seems as though, because obviously in the masses, we at the National Academy of Athletics, we work with primarily recreational sports. Right? We're trying to help kids just fall in love with playing, keep their body moving and do that. But I can see also we work with a lot of different youth sports leagues, football and basketball and, all different kind of stuff, and baseball, little leagues. In fact, we just did a coaches retreat virtual talking about social, emotional, all these other components, as well as skills and drills, because I think putting it all together is really the key, right? So let me ask you, I think that technology I've seen when you're a Little League president or you're a manager of a team, that the technology can really be helpful for that, right? In terms of platform for communication. What do you think has been, you've been doing this a little while now, like, what do you think is like some of the big advantages now that are available? Because I remember when I was coaching my son's team, we finally got to the point where I could text everybody, you know what I mean? That was like the biggie. We could text everybody,
Yeah.
And nowadays, man, it's like the whole deal, and you can see who's opened and all that. So what's going on in that space?
Well, SportsThread actually has a product for that space, and we provide a software as a service product to youth sports organizers. We have over 90 major youth sports event organizations who use our software as a service product, and through all those event providers, we'll do a significant number of events this year, and a staggering number of participants walking through the doors. And what we provide to these companies is a full service software suite. We can process payments through an embedded website or an embedded code on their website, process payments, list their events, collect birth certificates, and organize all their information on CRM in the back end of our SportsThread website. They can send out push notifications and text messages and emails to.
Wait. I just want to talk to my mind to make sure I'm understanding. So if I'm a Little League president, I would reach out to you through SportsThread, get connected, and then I say, okay, I've got 400 kids I got my teams. You'll help me set it up. You help me to make sure that I can collect the information I need, both on the coaches, and then help me set it up and push notifications for those that don't know. Again, you never know who's listening where we're at, because I just learned as well, is the ability to get information out to everybody that, hey, it rained today, so we're not going to do this, or practices have changed, all that information, you guys can help out with that. So it sounds like you guys, through your platform, are really becoming kind of well-rounded to be able to help, whether it's the individual player, right, those kids. So this is not just, I'm going to help you get a scholarship, because, you know, that's a whole other issue we're talking about. But basically, from the kids that just want to play to the people that organize and in between, you really can help out through all those pieces, huh?
No doubt. They can log into the app. They can see real-time schedule, scores, and standings. We can help the tournament organizer spit out that schedule incredibly quickly through an algorithm that we've built that pretty much does all the work for them.
Right.
It just provides so much communication and real-time access for the event provider to the people who are coming to their events. And again, we provide this service for free, and the cost is co-opted by those sponsors that I was talking about,
Right.
those great products and services for the youth sports market. So multi-million-dollar product that we give out to these youth sports organizations.
I love how you're packaged together. It sounds like it's just it's truly, you know, at the National Academy of Athletics, our focus is win-win-win. We partner with recreation departments, with cities, with YMCAs and leagues, and that's how we partner to help provide training, but also the clinics and things. It sounds like very, very similar model. That's awesome. All right, so let's make a shift. So social media, right? Social Dilemma is out there. There's a lot of information out there. Give me a little information on your thought process of social media and the impact it's having with our kids, particularly those that are involved with sports. Because, you know, I know that there's bullying and there's all different kind of things that are going on. And it's funny because it used to be, you know, Facebook was the platform, and I'm not throwing them under the bus either way, but now there's a million others, right? So how does that work with you guys? How does that component in terms of the social side of that? What's your thought on that?
So one of the things that I'm most proud of with the way that the platform and the community has progressed as it's grown is the identity that it's taken on, and the brand that we've built around positivity, athletes lifting each other up, being each other's, you know, fan, and trying to and really just building a community that is supportive of youth. Because what you're talking about right now, I agree, is a tremendous issue on other channels. I'm very thankful and proud that it's not on SportsThread, because we have a variety of things that we do to encourage that positivity. And we have a group of really great young athletes. We call them certified athletes, but they're basically the influencers on the SportsThread platform that perpetuate that culture and get in and interact with all the newcomers. But, you know, kids get shamed and kids get cyberbullied, and it's very sad and it's awful to see. And we have had thousands of testimonials and stories and kids telling us that they come to SportsThread because of the positivity in our community, and they truly are seeking out a place where they feel that they belong, and that they can use their identity as an athlete and feel good about themselves.
Kudos, man. Good stuff. That's great. So what happens if they're on your platform and I'm being a schmuck? I mean, how do you guys, I've seen stuff on different platforms, and I've seen it when there's shaming or bullying, things that are going on. It's easy to deal with in person because you're right there and you can address it. It's when you catch it on a thread of some level. But how do you guys address that? How do you guys deal with that?
So I don't want to give out a one size fits all, because every situation's different, every conversation's different, and different words and scenarios that people may use or fall into be handled differently by us. But it is very, very upfront and known by the users of our community that this is a positive place. This is a place for you to build each other up and to focus on achieving your dreams and supporting each other in doing that, rather than tearing people down. So we would handle things on a case-by-case basis depending on what was said, but there's really no place for that on SportsThread. We want people to feel comfortable there. We want people to use their identity as an athlete and feel good about what they're putting out there, and to have a positive experience always.
Great. Well, it sounds like, I mean, we've kind of covered a lot of ground on everything from the individual athlete and kids and how to get involved and all these different components. I guess the last one I really want to kind of dig in a little bit more is kind of we can use SportsThread as a platform, but I'm just thinking overall, it seems to me that it's gone from 0 to 10,000 pretty quick in terms of how quickly technology is become a piece of, right? We had Moneyball, 20 years ago or whatever, and that was kind of the start component. So just in your mind, because I'm just curious in your mind in terms of the personal component of sports and the technology component of sports, how do you see them fitting together? Like, what's your vision, not just for your company, but what's the big picture that you see in terms of how they fit together?
Well, I think that the technology is becoming so deeply embedded in people's lives now that what you do personally and is often very much closely mirrored, if not augmented, by what you're doing in technology. So if you're a youth athlete and sports means the world to you, as it does to many, many of our users,
Right.
I think you're going to seek out technology to make you a better player. It's proven that it works. That's why athletes are continuing to get better and better and better every decade. But also, I think we've seen a heck of a trend in Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all the other major social platforms that people want to share what they're doing in their lives with a bigger audience than who can just view it
Right.
right there in person with you. So, that's why people go out and they put pictures and videos up on their Instagram, is because they want people to see what they're doing with their life. They want to share that. That's a new way of being social in the world today. And I think you're going to see, well, I don't think, I know you will see that if you log into SportsThread right now. You'll see athletes who have downloaded our app who truly are posting just for recognition of their skills. They just want people to see, hey, look at what I'm able to do. And I think that allows us to play kind of a cool role in helping a kid fulfill that dream, in addition to going to college, getting game scores, doing chat, all the other things that we do.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the mindset, which again, going back to the idea that you're providing a free platform for kids to get access, which is such an important deal. I really love that. And also, whether it's whether they want to play in college or they want to be the next Trout or whoever it is, ultimately they can go through their journey. You're not advocating, because I did look at your platform before. It's not based on playing just one sport. I mean, ultimately, you got a lot of different platforms for a lot of different sports. You guys have put something together that can really help not just the child, but also the coaches, the parents. It seems like you guys have really done a great job of creating an opportunity for, if you're involved in youth sports, what a great opportunity to kind of check the whole gamut out and see what they can do to maybe offer to help them out, right?
There's no question about it. I don't care who you are, whether you're Nick Saban and you're using our app to find a great player. We got kids on there who are that quality and that caliber and are on there to be recruited, and we're going to help the college coach find that match. Or if you're a parent of a 7-year-old youth softball league player, or
Right.
anywhere in between, including the athletes themselves, anybody who is in the youth sports market, we have great features and functionality and something different but relevant for everyone. And it's taken us a long time to build that. It's taken us a long time to listen to the market and deliver what it wants, but we've been ranked as one of the top 200 apps in the world on the Apple App Store in the sports category now, almost every day for a year.
That's
And it's because anybody who downloads our app, regardless of what they may be doing, as long as they're interested in the youth sports world, they're going to find something really fun, really cool, and some great value.
Man, that's awesome. Well, Sean, I really appreciate you making the time, to jump on with me and kind of help share. And I really like the insights that you kind of shared, and hopefully parents and coaches that will be listening to the channel, we'll get something out of it. If someone wants to reach out to you, I mean, I know that they can go and they can download the SportsThread app.
Yep.
And that's probably the best way, because that's where they can gather most of the data. Is there any other location or information, if they're interested, where they should go, or you think going just through the app is the best place to go?
Go to the SportsThread app. Yeah, absolutely. That's the best place to go download our application. And if you have questions, just general questions about SportsThread, you can email us at customerservice@sportsthread.com. Customerservice@sportsthread.com. One more time for anybody who just wants to have a question answered. And we've got a great staff of people who get in there and help you out.
You know what? I met some of your staff already. You got a great team. Maybe we'll get a chance to dig in a little bit more on that. They're really, they're not just dumb jocks like me. They got some cool stuff going on. It's really cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I just want to remind everybody this is Talk, Teach, Play, where we talk about everything youth sports. I appreciate your time. I will remind you to please make sure you subscribe so you can get additional information, not just about SportsThread, but all of the information we've been sharing. I know that we got some talks that are going to be coming up soon that you're going to want to dig in. If you want to reach out to myself or any of my team at the National Academy of Athletics, just go to nationalacademyofathletics.com or check us out on Instagram or Facebook. You'll find us. Reach out for sure. And just leave you with this, which is just remind you to always tell your kids when they're out there to play hard and have fun. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you, Sean, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank
We'll
you.
see ya.
Take care.